Hi, this is Bob Ost, and it's Friday, and it's November. What is it? November, September 20th. Hello. So this is our true community gathering. We do this every Friday. We open doors at 5 o'clock. We usually bring our guests in at about 5:30, and we interview people from all over the theater community, all aspects of theater, and actually sometimes outside of the theater community. We've had a classical conductor. We've had uh, a concert pianist. I mean, we just are interested in the arts in general and specifically in theater. So you never know who's going to pop up in these weekly things that I've been doing. Started off as a community service because of quarantine. Remember that quarantine? So last in 2020, April 17th, instead of closing my company, I opened the doors to Zoom. I didn't know what else to do, and so I brought people into our room on Fridays to form a community and to feel less isolated. And um, I think I prevented a lot of people from going crazy. So, I'm very glad that I discovered Zoom. Also, what I discovered by doing this on Zoom is that we have people coming in here from all over the world now. It's not just New York. It used to be a New York-centric company. Can't say that anymore because we have people from all over the world, from East Coast, West Coast, United Kingdom, Singapore, Malaysia, Germany, Australia. A lot of people come in from Australia, believe it or not. So we're happy to be doing this, and we're happy that we're no longer talking about making art in isolation, and we're talking about things that have to do with theater in general. It's my pleasure today to have a conversation that I don't even know where it's going to go because I've got a woman coming in who has done so much and has been such an icon in our world, in our theater world for so long that who knows? We're just going to talk, and I'm going to have you meet Irene Gandy right now. I'm bringing her in. Irene, you're now in the room.
Yeah, hey, it was nice being offline and listening to everybody and welcome everybody and I'm glad that you have to realize that whether you're producing a show just a $10 budget or $100 million, it's the same worries, because we're dealing with human nature and you never know. Like we opened Michael Jackson in the middle of the pandemic, and all of a sudden we opened in February and March. It was 2 years to, So, but the thing is that I always say, as 80 years old, and I've been working on Broadway nonstop and still think for 50 years that passion is a beautiful thing because God gives you a budget, but He doesn't give. God gives you a dream, but He doesn't
just
give you.
giving you a budget.
Yeah, and as long
So
as you're passionate about what you do, and I
I'm gonna catch people up a little because people are tuning in and we're jumping in with both feet here. Um, Irene, at some point in our conversation, is going to tell you how she came to be producing because she produces now. But Irene, you started off as a press agent, as a publicist.
well, I'm
But
still a publicist.
my question to you is, when did you realize that you were interested in theater?
I didn't know it theater because I'm not an actor. The
Right.
actor's always interested in theater. Theater came to me, and uh it happened very crazy. Back in the early 60s, 68, 67, I was reunited with a friend of mine whose whose partner was the general manager for the Electric Circus. Who, all those of you who know about Studio 54, the Electric Circus was the place that was the Studio 54 of the East Side, Lower East Side, and he was working with Douglas Turner Ward, who wrote the Dear White letter to the New York Times that he wanted to start a theater company, that he could train actors, choreographers, playwrights on 24 hours, 7 days a week. And but the thing is, guys who are listening, you have to be in a union. You have to be in a you have to have agents. And if you, no matter how much you perform, if you want to go on Broadway, you have to apprentice. So what he did was have people, diverse people, well, at that time, Black people, so they can get into union. So that was very, very helpful. And so when I saw my friend Fred Garrett, who we had graduated from high school together, he said they had all sent up, all the apprentices wanted to, they were all white because it was a black, it was during black, it was in the 60s, and everybody wanted to be an actor. So he asked me, would I just come up and just, pretend to be interested in the job? This is a true story. So he could save face because if he didn't, he was going to have to send up a white person to be an intern, which wasn't a good look since it was the Negro Ensemble. Okay, so I went
So
because
you really did get into this
no,
through a back door.
this is very seriously. So I went up to help him out, and of course it was Howard Atlee's office in Sardi's. He was in the Sardi's building on the third floor, which is ironic because I'm there at Sardi's every night and I have my caricature. So I went and I don't know anything about a press agent, but I knew a lot of Mae West movies. I'm an old movie person, and so my press agent. So I ended up interviewing him, and I ended up getting the job. So that's how I got here in the theater. And I still don't know. I know exactly what I know then. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. I
So
don't
this
know.
so the circuitous route that got you to theater was because um, Negro Ensemble needed a black face there so that
Yeah.
and it's just so
Well,
random. It's
yeah,
just so
because
random.
we're talking about the press agentry, and we're talking
Yeah.
about being a publicist, and the great thing about Douglas Turner Ward and Jerry Crone and Robert Hooks, they made it possible for you to get in the union so you can get the jobs. And Woody King, who I gave you he wrote the plays. Woody King had a theater company that people can have that can play in the plays. You know what I mean? So you have to do your craft. So it was really good. So I still say I'm doing the same thing. I call it the three P's: public relations, prostitution, and politics. This is what this.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what it is. Um, if you really want to break it down. So I've
So
always, yeah, go ahead.
so let me ask you this. Before this all happened, before you stumbled onto Negro Ensemble,
What
what
was
was
I
it you
doing?
thought? What did you think you wanted to do when you grew up?
I went to in 1961. I went to NYU. I'm from Westbury, Long Island. My parents were one of the first Black families that settled there in 1935, and so my father, he worked on the Phipps estate, and my mom was a domestic, and Miss Phipps gave me a letter of credit to go to NYU. That was a letter credit that like in the old days. So I went there in 1961. But I wanted to write Nancy Drew books. That's what I wanted to do, not knowing that they were written. And then I stayed there like 6 weeks because I thought it was stupid college. I just because I knew everything because I'm smart. I was like, this is stupid. And so I ended up and these days, everybody, parents, I don't know about it, but Black parents are very strict. I couldn't do anything. So when I got to the village and I went buck wild, so I just left school and worked in coffee shops with Shelley Farman, who now owns, Red Eye Grill and all those restaurants. He had their bagel. So I just bummed around with Richie Havens and stuff. And yeah, so that's what I did. And then I had one acting class. And next day I was in a movie called A Man Called Adam. So when everyone says this acting is so hard, I'm like, how could it be this hard? So it's just like it was easy. So that's how I got here. I got here, but I don't think if I would have stayed in school for 4 years, opportunities are where they are. And I always say yes to everything. And I want to tell everybody on this call, say yes to everything. Don't overthink it. I don't get it don't get it twisted. I get frightened, but I get more frightened. What if I didn't do it? I don't talk myself, and I listen to the source. I'm not. If someone says, "Oh, well, don't go to New York," and because you'll never get a job, you'll never get a Broadway show, you'll never get this, and they have not been around the corner, they have not left the block. That's not the person you listen to,
So let me
So
ask you this. how did the on the job training go? Because you had not been a publicist, and
Well,
suddenly
it
you were
went
being
very well. It went very well because the third week I was there, Howard Atlee, who was the press agent at the time, he he had a medical attention and he had to leave, so I was left in the office by myself. And he gave me this letter, this press release, because at the time they had to do it on a mimeograph. There was no emails or Instagram.
mimeograph.
Yeah,
There's a
remember?
blast from the past. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah. And he said, make sure you take this to Cy Peck. Now, Cy Peck at the time was the arts and leisure editor of the New York Times, like Scott Heller, you know. And it was the days, it was in the 60s, early 70s, Times Square was like really, seedy and stuff. But I was always very fashionable. So I had my mod stuff on my hot pants. I went to the Times in the hot pants. I had suede hot pants on, pink pocket suede, and an Applejack. So I went up to the third floor and I said, I need to see Cy Pack. And the guard said, give me this envelope. And I'm like, no, when you don't know anything, you just go, no, I got to see him. So they made me wait an hour and a half. And then finally, it was deadline day. So iPad came out and he says, who's coming here and interrupted me on my deadline day? And I said, who are you that I have to wait an hour and a half? Because I didn't know. And that began my personal relationship with the press. He said, I made his day and he took me back in the Times and introduced me to the photo editors, writers, and everything. Yeah. So it was just
So
the right time in saying yes.
so you say now that you are the only black female member of ATPAM. ATPAM. Let people know what ATPAM is.
For over 50 years, because now, it's changed. But
Oh,
he was
now it's
over,
changed.
yeah, because but it's that, and it's also what show runs 3 years, because you have to apprentice for 3 years on a Broadway show, or a Lord contract, which NEC had. A Lord contract, everybody is like Public Theater or Lincoln Center, so that's what we were able to do that. Yeah. So I think art's as challenging as it is. So that's what happened because I was making like 40, like $60 a week, and I had a child and everything. So I don't think people you have to look at the vision. You have to, if you're really passionate about something, you have to say, it may not happen now, may happen 10 years from now. Kerry Washington, I produced American Son. I was on an interview with her, and the interviewer said, did you always know you were going to be all famous? She said, I just knew it may take a year, may take 10 years, may take 50 years. So we're living in a microwave of thinking. We can't think that. You have to, you know, it is what it is,
Well, let
when
me
it
ask
is.
you. Let me ask you this: when you became the publicist for Negro Ensemble, were there many other black publicists? I mean, I'm
No,
assuming that you were kind of were made a breakthrough there.
no. And see, that's the thing we have to get. I mean, as an African American, arts is art. See, that's the thing. I never think I was raised by my family, my dad. When you start thinking I'm black, I'm fat, I'm gay, I'm transgender, I'm too light skinned, I'm too heavy, I'm not blonde, you're already putting a seed in your mind. You're already putting excuses in your mind. Why? You're already, because it's not you, because you're allowing people, those they people who is still, because they think you should. You cannot let the invisible they define you. So I never thought of, all I know, all the people I work with thought about where they're going to give me New York Times, stuff like that as a publisher. They weren't thinking, to just get the job done, do the job, do the job. So
Well, I think your advice is good, but it doesn't necessarily come naturally to everyone. I think a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't do this because I don't look like the people that do this," and I've come across this a lot over the past 30
well,
years of running TRU. So
look,
you
I
have to
don't look like
just own the fact that you broke through and that you made it
I
seem possible to other people.
well, the Negro Ensemble made it seem possible. But listen to this. Listen, look at me now. I'm 80. I don't fit in any of the boxes. I'm 80 years old. I'm gay. I'm a mother, and I'm still working. So if that's the thing, and I dress like I want to, so if you're gonna say, if you're gonna put yourself in a, all of those things are things that say, oh, I can't do it. You see what I'm saying? But
I
everyone is
understand.
not.
No, I absolutely understand, but I'm trying to give you credit for making it seem possible to others because it's not unusual for people to not go into something, not go into a business because they think, oh, people in my community don't do that. But but people can see that you can do it.
No, but the thing is that everybody's not like me. There are people who can't do it. You have to be. Well, arts is challenging as it is. Nobody cares about the arts. Let's get that straight. No one cares about the arts. And the
No,
sad thing,
there are people who care about the arts, but unfortunately, they're not politicians. The politicians don't care about the arts. So we have very little support.
no, my people will spend $1,000 on Beyonce concerts. People will spend like five and thousand hundreds of dollars on a baseball game or stuff. Those are people. Instead of, but they don't want to go to the arts. Like I don't want to go to a hockey game either. But I'm just saying. So it's only that people like this on this phone and people like you, we're the only ones that are going to save mankind because art is universal, art is communicative, and that's why I applaud these young people on this who was on the phone, who was on the Zoom, because and everything doesn't have to be on Broadway. Stay in your town and fight like freedom fighters. So one of the things I enjoyed going down to the International Black Theater Festival, all the great shows I've seen, but from Tampa, from this place, but somebody has to stay there and give people art. Someone has to stay there, and you're not defined by if Zeri Zach directs your show, if Audra's in your show, if Bob Ost is having you on the show. You're defined by what you feel inside. And if one person likes it, that's you. So that's just that is my advice and my suggestion, whatever you want to take it, you
A
know.
couple things that I want to bring up. No, I think that's very wise, and it's not giving yourself credit that I think you have coming to you because
My credit comes
you
from
open doors. You open doors.
no, the thing is, what happens for me, my daily prayer, if I take that second breath, and not the first one, then I know there's more for me to do. You know what I mean? So I don't take the credit because I'm just, I mean, theater is in musicals, like I did a TED talk and I said, this is the only place that there can be too many cooks in the kitchen. That because we need the playwrights, we need the musical director, we need the staging, we need the wardrobe, we need everything. So it's not a credit taking place because you're depending on the kinds of strangers. You're depending on reviews, you're depending on actors, you're depending, like you said, you never would have started this on your own, Bob. I know you because you never would have started this if you didn't have the pandemic, if we didn't have a blackout, or what do you call it?
Right.
COVID. Never would because you was, oh no, nobody must because I know him.
I had no interest in Zoom, no interest in virtual. But yeah, you're right.
I'm saying,
Sometimes
but it's
the things that happen in your life do shape your choices.
oh,
So
I
it's
didn't. You know what? I think the best thing. I have a beautiful child. I just don't make it. You know, like I'm producing right now. We're producing Our Town, and I'm already on to the next thing. See, what I do for me, I'm not telling everybody. I leave things. I stay in the present. Once it's done, I'm over it because I need to keep my mind open and my heart and my passion for new things to come in. I don't recycle shit. Excuse me.
it's
I,
okay.
I, I get it out. And so I
I
can
wouldn't.
make it's like
Oh,
being like I used to be a size 6, now I'm a size 14. So I don't look at my size sixes and say, oh God, I remember when they're gone. So
Look, I want to continue the journey with you though, because we got you as far as being a publicist for Negro Ensemble. What where did that lead to? I
Well,
want to.
when you're an apprentice in any my I cannot believe my phone is getting ready to die. I'm taking up my cord. When you're a publicist in any publicist house, one publicist doesn't have just one show. So the publicist, he was working, Negro Ensemble Company was his account. There was Helen Hayes. My first show was Helen Hayes with Front Page. Oh no, it was Dames at Sea at the Bowery, with the Bernadette Peters at the Bowery Playhouse.
Oh, the Bowery before it even moved to Lucille, what with
Yeah,
the at
yeah.
that time the Lucille Lortel
So,
Theater.
though that's and you basically the pub. I really don't know how to write a press release, really, because I was scarred by not writing Nancy Drew books. So, but the thing is, even now, I make sure, but I know how to connect. So I didn't let being a publicist says start saying that didn't keep me in my mind. Well, I don't know how to write a press release because as long as I know somebody that's going to print it, even now, if I want somebody to print something, even that's how I work now. I'll ask him what I need. This is what I'm doing. Are you going to use it? Because it's called relationships. You know, because all of that paper, you can have the best press release and not the relationships.
Well, that's
You know,
actually a thing that we share with a lot of artists. A lot of people need to do their own press because they don't have a budget. The
right,
advantage of having a press agent is the relationships that your press agent will have with the
right.
press.
And
So,
and I tell people, a lot of people say, "Oh, like people that are in a show, and I need press." I'm like, no, use the show press agent because all you're going to get is your money is what the show press agent get. Because what we'll do, we're liaisons. We can't tell people, you're not good enough or that you're not interesting enough. That's not what we do. But you do there are ways that you can make people interested in your client. You can take them off the theater page. You know what I mean? If you have a client because one more actor, one more celebrity in another play, that's not news. That's really not news. So maybe if somebody's making blankets or making stuff, you try to take them off. That's what I try to do still. And now I'm a community influencer because I don't want to work that hard. So I invite no, I invite people to see the show that I know are going to have legs and um, communicate with other people, and invite producers to give away tickets to not just the gyms and stuff like that, for people who, like you guys, who can talk about it and have, have some interest, stuff like that. Yeah. But I'm kind of unique in that way because everybody's not like that. I went to an event last night. I'm like, oh my God, this was not helpful to the actors
oh,
for the promotion. Yeah.
that's awkward, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
an
it was upsetting.
uncomfortable situation to be in.
Yeah. Because I think in terms of Broadway, we're real estate now, and I think Bob and we talked about it. We're real estate now, so you're there to sell. It's not like Bobby. It's not like Phil Smith, and these are Schubert organs people, and Jerry Schoenfeld, because there's no passion. It's real estate. You have
Yeah.
34 producers who are like investors. I remember the day when people didn't want it. But I'm okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no. We can finish that.
I
I
never
mean,
say
so,
I'm trapped.
that's okay. I'm having fun. Having fun running after you, so it's okay. Um, what I wanted to do is I want to go back to Negro Ensemble and talk about how you got from there to working with Jeffrey Richards because you've been with Jeffrey for 50
Oh, I didn't
years,
know. Jeffrey, it's just amazing because me and Jeffrey just celebrated 38 years on September 17th,
38
working
years.
together.
Okay.
Um, I, well, once you apprentice, then you go on the road. Once you finish your apprenticeship, then you can go, on the road. I went on the road. I chose to go on the road. And I ended up, ironically, working for his mom. His mom was the company manager.
Helen
Helen.
Richards, everybody.
Yeah, she was the company manager on a show called, well, because Phil Rose shows, Raisin in the Sun, and also,
Pearly Victorious?
Pearly Victorious, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm no, I'm sorry, Lorraine Hansberg was Raisin in the Sun. I worked on that too. And then when I finished that, we're in the union, people were looking for press agents. And that was in 1986 to go on the road, but I'm not Rappaport. And that's when I met Jeffrey, and I've been there ever since.
So you just hit it off. I mean, that was it. Because basically you're talking about you got into a job description that was nothing that you had really
Yeah.
experienced before. You were suddenly a press agent.
Right,
Um,
right,
it's like, oh boy, I'm a press agent. What do I do? Okay, I'll just create relationships and whatever it was
right.
you were doing. But this was still your apprenticeship period at
This was,
Negro
I
Ensemble.
learned to be create. This was really sci-pet because I wasn't afraid because people are afraid of labels. Guys, don't be afraid of labels because when I used to be on the road, um, there's a porter that had worked there for 30 years knew more about what was going on than the people that had the titles. You see, so you have to really be in tune. You got to be nice to everybody, even though you never know who's going to be who. So you just can't. Well, you just have to. I just look at people and I just treat everybody the same.
So tell me a little bit about your work relationship with Jeffrey for all these years. Jeffrey, I'll say this honestly, was not considered the easiest person to work with like 30 years ago. I know I
I'm
have
not,
friends.
I'm not the kind of person. As long as you pay me and respect me, I don't care if I don't like people. People say that I'm like that too. I don't really get into that. I'm not that person. Who you are, you are. I'm not trying to.
But
You don't have to
you
like
and Jeffrey
me.
managed to bond. And what was your
Call it
what was your
acceptance.
purpose in his company? Because he had a company. So what you
What
were
do
the
you
press
mean?
agent? You were the press agent?
Yeah, yeah. I have to be president because you have to be in the union. You have to have a contract. Yeah,
So
yeah.
let me ask you this. You also have gone on record as saying at one point you were the only black female press agent who was in
Oh
ATPAM.
yeah, for
How
years, for
how did it
years.
get how did you get into ATPAM? Tell us about that.
Has nothing to do with that. I'm trying to tell you what person, what person can work that long, whether you're black or white, and and not have be a press agent. And most people they don't want to be a press agent. They want to be actors. You know what I mean?
Uh,
And the reason I was able to do that because remember I have a daughter, so I had I looked at that too. So I never see, and listen, I'm not saying that there's not challenges. Don't get me wrong. But if there was, I didn't pay attention to them because I'm not looking for that. It's like, it would be like me going through my lover's phone looking for some information. I'm about doing the work. And if you can't do it, if you can't do it, I'll move on and find out who can do it.
okay, so let me try this in a different way. Can you tell us how you went from being a press agent and started becoming a producer? Because you've become a
Because I have
producer.
relationships, because I can bring people to the table, not
So
just
you
money. Yeah. And
so
that's another thing people
as a
need to
producer,
know.
you were bringing in investors for shows.
My name, yes. My name only. I
Okay.
didn't want to be a producer, but there are certain things like when we did Porgy and Bess, because I have so many, because also on the table, sometimes money is good, but if you have people that not necessarily have money, like will have things that they can bring to the table, you can say, okay, this is what I brought to the table. I don't have the money, but it's like a barter system. You know what I mean? So
So
yeah. So
your key talent in your estimation is relationships. Your
I'm
your
sorry.
rela your main talent in your estimation is relationships, creating relationships.
Creating, here's the thing, people say, like, I know this person. You may know the person, but how do you know them? How do you know them? Like, I know them, but how do you know them? You have to have a relationships like, I mean, it's like attending a garden. You just you just tender a garden. I check on people all the time. I do favors. I do things for nothing. But I create relationships, and there are people. No matter how much they want a relationship with me, I don't have it. I don't care how much money, because they're not passionate. You have to be passionate about something to be in my life, and that's what arts is, passion.
John Ewing says, I heard you say on a
Yes,
podcast that
I
at
love
one
that
point
show.
you were what?
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
let me read the question. I heard you say on a podcast that at one point you worked with the legendary Shelley Garrett. Could you compare the similarities and differences of working on Broadway versus Shelley Garrett?
Let me tell you something. I was working on Broadway with Shelley Garrett, and I think what happened was that he was at the Beacon Theater, and I said, and he wanted. I figured he should deserve the New York Times review because they were making $1 million a week, which was unheard of. And they were actually bringing audiences to theater that were afraid to come down to Broadway or didn't feel comfortable, like people don't feel comfortable at the opera. So I thought that was at least worth, a New York Times review. So when I went to the Times, it was Bob Burke was the time, and he said, well, it's just another show about Black people. I said, well, so is Neil Simon. So is the
Right.
Irish show. That's just another show about how many drunk Irishmen are you gonna have from the from the Iceman coming? How many Jewish shows are you gonna have from Neil Simon? So because that's the thing, you can't you have to have a comeback. You have to know, I know all history, like I know now. I know how to run the box office, you know what I'm saying? So if you're passionate about something, you won't take no for an answer
Irene,
because
I think we lost you.
I
Oh,
got
there you
no,
are.
yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
So that's what
All
I'm
right.
saying. So yeah, and it was really great because um I treat everybody the same. That's the difference. I felt he deserved a story. He deserved not maybe if and here's what I said to Bob. If you're not I because I know he's not going to get a story because the show only ran a week, a couple of weeks or something. But he deserved at least a review. And that's how I roll, so I don't like I said, I don't get caught up in labels. I could get caught up with people doing the work and keeping people working and
Well,
keeping their spirit up.
I'm gonna go back to a question because I when
You want me
how
to
can I put it?
you want me to
How can
be
I put it?
you want me to be little black orphan Annie and look say, oh no, Bob,
No, 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 no. Oops, we
this was
lost you
so that's
again.
not gonna happen.
There you
What?
are. Whoops, we lost you. We found you.
No,
We
no,
lost you.
I'm
We found
trying to
you. No, no,
I'm
no, no.
telling
What I'm
you
trying
that.
to do is I'm trying to find out what
What do you want me to
influenced.
say, Bob?
What?
Spit it out. I'm trying to get out of here before I only got 3%. I might have to come back in because my phone it didn't charge. I don't know what happened. I charged it
Oh,
up again. Okay, I'm back. Go ahead. What do you want to
okay.
hear? What do you want me
No,
to say, Bob?
I'm just trying to find out
The
things
chat
about
room,
you.
everybody in the chat room. What is Bob trying to want me to say? He's not
Okay.
spitting out. Come on, hey people, help me. Help me figure out what Bob has
Anybody
wants me.
anybody want to ask a question in the chat? I was trying to get around to the fact that at what point, uh, okay, whether you want to be or not, you can be a teacher to people in the room so that they can think in different terms, and you're giving them a lot of good coaching.
Irene, I know
Yeah.
that there are situations where sometimes producers raise money, sometimes they lend their name and their relationship. Can you perhaps give us an example of one of the shows that you've been on and how you think you've influenced the success of the show?
Well, here's the thing. I can give you certainly. Let me start with the last show because let me start with Pearly Victorious because of my relationships, not just with the press, with groups, leaders, like Marcy and churches and the new churches and Al Sharpton and people from the Links and people from the Masons. If I tell somebody to buy out the house before we even open, that's like say, let's just say the house is 1,500, and I sell whatever that is, a two $400 a ticket or something. Already, that's just one group. like it's a typical instance right now. I'm the consulting producer for a
It's a
for
wonderful world.
A Wonderful World. And the Links, the lady from the Links just called me that they're having their annual conference is coming in April, and she wants to have a musical to buy off the whole house because that's going to be their thing. Now she knows to call me because we have relationships. And so this is what that's how it is, Jane. That's what it is, you know. Or you can so that's my relation. And also when you're a producer as opposed to a press agent, when you're in another with a producer, you can decide on where the money goes. You have more say so. Because when you have some shows when I'm a PR person, then you have to all they want to know when the story in the Times or blah 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 blah, and they don't really respect you as much because of labels, because of the label. So does that
Well,
answer your question, Jane?
oh, Jane, you're muted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I'm
or here's another thing I did. I'm very good friends with Kenny Leon, and if somebody comes in with a project, not only somebody, the big people, and they want to get to Kenny Leon. Because, I think we all have these people. If somebody says, oh, Irene says, or Bob says, or Jane says, you can get to them. I'll pick up the phone quickly. But
right.
that's human nature. So if that's another way, and you can say, Jane, well, I can bring in, if you want to get there, I can at least have a conversation. I just did that with Glenn Davis. We love that Glenn Davis from Steppenwolf because he's bringing purpose to New York. And he said, well, and who do you think? And I said, oh, okay, well, I can get to this person who I think that you should be, blah, blah, blah. So those are things that you can do,
Right.
which is just as valuable as money. Or you like
Or
the
more.
young or more. And like Jane, you have a producing team, and so does Bob. All of you guys on the phone, if you can, you guys know each other, so you can say, okay, you can try out your shows. I mean, and some because to have not have a space to even try out your shows or to even invite people to come see what you're doing, even as a reading, you know. Or those are the kind of things that you guys are invaluable. That's why I love that's why I love going to the off Broadway, because in New York I don't get a chance to see it. So and I need people to stay in their hometowns and fight like freedom fighters. Fight for your passion. Fight for the people who still love the arts. Everybody don't have to run north to get on the train. And north is, Broadway. So great way.
We have an
Yeah.
interesting question
No,
from
I
the
thank
room.
you, Irene, because I think I just, I'm a teacher too, and so I think for the room here, important to understand that producers fill different slots, and not
Right,
every producer brings $1 million to a show. They
right.
might bring something that you can't buy, right? You
Yes, yeah,
can't buy
yeah.
relationships,
You can't
right?
buy
So
relationship. Because
yeah,
I'm gonna tell you what quickly what happened. Well, I have to give you another 10 minutes because I was off. As long as I'm in the theater, I'm going to see Boza Rivers in the church at FBCPC right now. So here's the thing. The Wiz was coming, right? Everybody thought the Wiz, but because I wasn't involved in it, Jimmy Needlander called me as Irene, can you just put the word out? Because people, it's like brand. You go with the brand, the brand you're gonna trust. Because if someone says to me, give up your Louis Vuitton, your earrings, your Louis Vuitton earrings, I'm gonna I don't know, because they've been tried and true. I know what they're doing. But if you say to me, Irene, I know you love Louis Vuitton, but why don't you try Christian Dior? I would say, okay, Jane, because we have a relationship, because I trust your judgment. So those are the things that you guys have, and keep young people around you, because young people, they may be doing something, but they can help you get back online. They can help you know what's going on, and they can help you get the word out. Don't be afraid to change. They're not trying to change you. The change is happening, you know. So, like even
Do you
with
have any?
starting,
Yeah, I have a question. I got another question for you, but I'm stealing
yeah,
another question from the chat. But um, are there projects that you have in your head that you bring to Jeffrey and say, "Hey, how about
no,
let's
we
get
don't
this
do that.
done?"
No, because my review, because I don't know anything about that. What I'm doing now, no, I don't get involved with that because I'm so, I'm so high level. But what I did, and I think I shared it with Bob at lunch. This is going to be my last year. Once we do table 17, because I think we're bringing that in, I'm just going to go around to like theater companies like Mr. DeWitt and bring my expertise, bring what I can bring to the table, because sometimes you can have funding and like have a master class with, celebrities, the people that would come see, and that'll help on your stuff. So that's what I want to do. I'm working in an art center in Ghana. I want to bring what I have while I can still be, on my pumps. And I can still be on my pumps and pumps my shoes and bring these kind of conversations to people that can know um, how to make a venue work, for them and for the people in their town, you know. Because the great thing, when the pandemic happened, we did all our readings on Zoom. We had Meryl Streep, and so everybody, and then we charged Broadway's best shows. So that's where we're going, But live theater is so important. That's why we have to save it. Live theater. People we're doing our town. People are not saying I'm going to see our town. They're saying I'm going to see Jim Parsons. People are not saying they're going to see Othello. I'm going to see Denzel Washington. This is where the state of Broadway is right now. I feel, in my opinion, which I think is valuable because I'm here every fucking day. So, all right, comes to
How do we
come here.
change that, Irene? What are your thoughts in terms of how we can change that? I mean, I think that it all starts with kids, with the kids in schools. I think we need to teach the arts in a more empowering way and more
Well, that's
meaningful
the thing.
way.
That's what gets you crazy because you think what you think that you need to do. You have to let people decide for themselves. Like I invited some people to dress rehearsal that I knew that I thought that wouldn't like our town, but I have relationships with them, so I don't want to, like not invite them, and they loved it. So you can't say what you think, what you like. You have to give people a chance. And I think that's the thing that most people make mistakes. They say, "Oh, well, I'm doing this," and let me tell you, no, every day things are changing. My biggest mentor, her name is Seven. I told you on the phone. She's seven. Her name is Noelle. She was 3 years old when I met her in my elevator, and she had a little cute skirt on. She liked to wear, and I said, "Oh, no, Noelle, you look so beautiful." And she said, "Thank you." And then I said, "How do I look?" And she said to me, she was 3 years old. "Did you dress yourself?" I said, "Yes, I did." And she said, "Then why are you asking me?" So that is that. Yes, 3 years old. She's seven now. So those are the things you got. Like I say, I'm already finished with our town now. I'm thinking about somebody else, but so I can have room for these conversations, and so yeah, yeah.
Kate Catcher wants to know, do you think limited runs are having an influence on Broadway in that they create an immediacy? Is
We have
or
to
is
have
that
limited. We have to have a limited runs for two reasons. Usually you have to have name actors, and the actors are usually already booked, and we have to pay them 16 weeks in advance. It's not so much money, and then the urgency of buying the tickets too. If people know it's a limited run. No, you have to have it.
well,
You have
not that many shows do limited runs. So, but it does front loads. It forces the ticket sales to be front loaded a little
it
bit
was
more.
a play. I think it was a play. But if you have a name actor in it, it is because of the see, this is what happened before. Okay, now I see the stuff that I caught it this time. Okay. What happens is that the actor usually has, has somewhere else to go. So you plan. It takes like 5 or 6 years to put a show on. You have
Oh,
to
at
have clear
least.
everybody's schedule.
At
And
least
it's not even
and
that.
that's the fast track.
And it's not even the actor. It's usually the director decides who he wants to work with. You know,
What
like
was
Felicia
what
Rashad has to audition every time she has a play in a play. Well, not with Ken, and most actors do that. That well known, because and the directors won't work with some certain people just because the name is a name doesn't mean it's gonna, sell tickets or they're conducive. Because you have to realize theater's a family. We're family people. We got to all get along. You got to get along with each other on stage, behind stage, everything. It's like, it's a family, it's a community. We're our own community. This is why it's hard for me to say black, black, black. But if we're all in the same community when it comes to the arts. And it's all
well,
challenging. We're all breaking
I've
down.
let that go. I'm trying to ask
Thank you.
questions. I've let that go like a long time ago. What I was curious, all sorts of things pop in my head. Were there any shows that you and Jeffrey had really different views of, where you just didn't know why he was doing it, or he didn't know why
No,
you loved it,
no,
or
no, no.
you
We
always
don't do.
agreed?
No, we always do things because we want to. We lose a lot of money. We did Cane Mutiny because we wanted to see Herman Woke when he was 95 and see his show back on Broadway. We did Enchanted April with a new playwright. We did American Son. It was a guy that was a lawyer, but Carrie said, I like it. Let's look at it. Yeah, no. That's why I'm with him 38 years. Because I don't want to be just like that. I don't want to what do you call it? Yeah. Because I cannot be passionate about something if I can't work on something if I'm not passionate about it. I won't do it
So
just for the
every
money.
so Jeffrey and you, Jeffrey has produced, how many would you think? 60, 50? How many shows has he produced?
I
More?
only know how many Tony Awards we have. Let's start with that.
Let's start with that. How many Tony Awards do you have?
A lot, over 10 in
Over 10.
every category.
Well,
Yeah.
what I'm
But
thinking is,
and that's the thing. You can't, because you can't, again, I go back to what I say, human nature. This business is depending on the kindness of strangers, as Tennessee Williams said from Blanche Deborah Rhodes, Streetcar Named Desire.
right.
That's what it depends on. Strangers, strangers. Because every night your show is filled with strangers. And you depend on them either to come back 3 or 4 times, like it, or they could kill it. So that's what people have to say, has nothing to do, well, let me tell my story. But if people know you're telling the truth, or and everything is not going to be, who knew? Who knew our town was going to be so successful? Who knew we were going to have a healthy advance? Because I said, oh my God, no one's going to see this, but we had to do it.
What are some of the shows that you're proudest of? What were the ones? I know you were passionate about all of them, but at some point maybe there were a couple that just jumped out and you said, "Wow, I'm so glad we did this."
All
I know you're going to say all of them. You said that on all of them, but
No, no. I'm glad that we did Pearly Victorious. I'm glad we did. Um, I love that we do all the David Mamet plays. I love the Glengarrys that we do. Um, I love, yeah. I mean, I love that. Let me see. Yeah, I like all David Mamet's plays. I like Anna Shapiro when we do. I love Tracy Letts stuff. And I love when people people feel something, and they can't feel something unless they see it. Like I love our town now. Last night, a tear was falling from my eye. And I didn't even know it. You know, so those kind of things. That's what I love.
well, our town will bring out many tears for many people. It's one of those
Yeah,
wonderful,
but
wonderful plays.
but Kenny, film festival wasn't a film festival. James to see, she was a Bernadette Peters, Jordan Roth was a composer, I think was a producer. Bernadette Peters was the lead, I sat her next to her, because I never told her that. So when they had Doubt, or the opening night of Doubt, I said, I worked My first show was Davidson C. Yeah.
Susan,
I'm asking, I'm listening. I see, I can see the chat, so that's what I'm doing.
right.
I'm
So Susan, I also was friendly with the guy that was the composer for Dames at Sea, and I'm trying to remember, wasn't it Jim something? Susan, do
I
you
mean,
remember
I don't remember that. But I
Hi,
know, I
Jim
know,
was
yeah.
what was that? What was that, Susan?
Jim Wise.
Jim
And
Wise. Yeah, I was very good friends with him.
we went
I completely forgot.
I'm sorry I didn't meet you back then. This is through him. But we were neighbors for over 2 decades.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and he read our first shows, and he also read Fifth Avenue. And he also played some of it when we first got it going.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad. I think will they, the fact is, August Wilson used to say we used to get drunk and have martinis at the Edison Hotel, the Rum House. He used to say, I don't care where my plays are produced as long as people get to see them. It can be in the church basement, because if you just writing plays so you can have them produced, then you're in a sad state of affairs. Because God gives you a gift and you have to keep that gift going. It's something very, very my daughter's an artist, and I just like commend people who can act, who can write, who can sing. That must be a great feeling, because you don't need any other people's validation, because you have something that God has given you that's so great that
Not For me, it's not necessarily validation, although I certainly will confess to wanting it. For me, I finally reached a point in my life where I decided that the only thing I really want is to um, find an audience that likes what I do. I don't care who it is, as long as my work is touching somebody, touching people.
well, we're saying we're talking the same thing,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But
It's because
you
I'm just
can't.
saying that.
But my advice: don't do your work thinking about how other people are gonna, respond to it, because you're doing it for you.
Well, I'm doing it for me. I'm also doing it because I want my ideas to touch people. I want to make people think. I want to make people um, have emotions.
That's what you
Uh,
want to do. Like you wanted me to see. This is a typical example. You wanted me to say something you had in your head, and I didn't want it. So, but because I have a relationship with you, I get it. So you just have to do what you do for you, and what I do for you, and the people that will get it, that you want, but you get it. That's what people don't understand. As long as you get it, that's the only person in the news who can get it. And
so,
anybody else who gets it other than you, it's a blessing.
so I should be fine because I dressed myself.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
Um, are there any other Ross? Are there any other questions or
Oh,
comments
I
from the?
wanted to ask. Oh, I love Mike Malone. Oh, Mike Malone. Mike Malone is amazing. He really set up the theater department at the Howard University. It's amazing. And those are the kind of things that Negro Ensemble Company did. Gave, new playwrights and gave the things. But I really wanted to go back, the young man from Winston-Salem, oh no, Charlotte, will all these again, I repeat to you, I think your name is Edwin with
From Charlotte, you're talking about me, Don Hall.
No, Don, she's talking about the good-looking
yeah, I'm
guy,
talking about
John
you.
Henry III.
You. Talking about you. Yeah,
She's
yeah,
talking about the
John.
good-looking guy, me, right?
That's right. And see, I
Okay.
remember the name.
Yes,
No, I mean,
ma'am.
that's another thing why I keep young people around me. They could be some masters, send things on and put them on Instagram. Because today the Fashion for Week, they start hiring what do you call it? Oh, TikTokers and stuff. Because
Social influencers.
yeah, and see, your stuff can reach the bush. They can reach Galveston, Pakistan. This little thing that we're on now. Stop thinking New York, L.A., and Chicago, not New York and L.A. There are people that you can touch. When you say touch, there are people sitting in their house now crying, saying, where can I go? Or not, I'm alone. Not like, and not knowing you're having the same challenges. I'm on the board of the Drama League, and the first thing I did was took the executive director up to the Harlem Arts Alliance, which I'm giving go, and everyone. So I'll say something black. So the black arts organizations would know their budgets was cut. Their budgets are cut, and so was the drama league budgets cut. So that's what I mean. We're all in this together.
Oh,
You know.
by the way, just so the room knows, Irene is on the board of directors for Drama League. Yeah.
They named a Scott. What did they name?
The director's apprenticeship or something.
No, it's a direct. It's their directorship program, assistant directorship, not apprentice. They named their whole assistant directorship. It's called the Irene Gandy Assistant Directorship. That was in 2023. The drama league renamed. So you haven't done your homework. That's the first thing.
I just said that.
And that's where I could tell you I use my blackness to diversify. I diversify people. Listen, guys, I hope to see you, and I'll come back, but I really have to go, and I'm sorry but I really want to thank all of you. And it's like people going buying an dress. You don't need to have the salesperson or somebody buying a dress and do I look good in it? Like Noel said, did you dress yourself? Always remember that.
Like
and
who
August
you are,
said,
like what you
and
are.
also another thing that August Wilson said, when people tried to give him notes, and I'm telling you that too, where were you when the page was blank? So all you writers and playwrights, where was they in the page was blank? They haven't written nothing. So that's all I have to say.
Well, that's one of my favorite August Wilson quotes now. I love that.
I'm going to see Rosa right now.
You're going to see Vosa. Yeah, send Vosa my love. Vosa has already jumped in wholeheartedly to help support you.
I know. That's relationships.
Yeah. He was thrilled to hear it. So thank you, Irene.
Don't forget to get James Nederlander too. Don't be trying to take all the
I've already started.
We don't have that money. We don't have that budget. Go to James Nederlander.
I already have.
And go to Daryl Roth. They got money. And go to.
Does Daryl know you?
Who else do I need? Daryl Roth. Yeah. Ask Daryl.
Ask Daryl. I will ask Daryl.
And Wendy Fetterman.
Okay, I know Wendy. Sure. I know Daryl. What am I saying? Of course I know them.
Don't we love Daryl Roth? I love her.
Yeah. I respect her a lot. And I love her son. Jordan is a hoot.
Well, Jordan's doing this thing. He gives a lot of money to the arts.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you go because you have to go to a 7:00 event.
Yeah, it's at the church, and that's the relationships. I'm just at the church in Boza. They're doing plays at the church now, people. Yep.
Okay, so you maybe will. I'll bring you back another time because people won't be able to meet you, which I do afterwards. So you usually have people meet you. So you go to the church.
I'll come back another time.
I'm going to thank you for doing this. I'm going to thank you for letting us honor you in November because it's an honor for us to honor you. And I want to thank the community in the room. Thank you for being with us every week. Some of you every Sunday. Oh, by the way, I never announced this is the 229th consecutive week. You are interview number 229, Irene Gandy. So I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to say a few words.
We should give the people that come into the room some kind of discount to honor me.
Oh, a discount for the community gathering people. Okay, that's a thought. I'll do that. So thank you.
Where's this money going anyway, Bob? I want to know. Let's ask her. No, I'm only teasing. I'm only teasing. I know.
I have specific ways that I'm using it. I'm going to be using the money to pay for
Bob. I'm only kidding. I know what you do. I wouldn't have my name involved with something if it wasn't. Look at him.
Okay.
I gotta go. I'm having too much fun. All right, guys. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So, and thank you to the room, and thank you to everybody out there watching us. If you're in YouTube or on the podcast and you found us somehow or other, you found us. I have lively guests every week. So if you want to meet,
I don't know how to get out.
oh, so you're still here.
Okay, let me try this. I'll be here. Hang up. When you hang up, let me know. I'm gonna charge my phone and get out of here. Are you still there?
I'm still here,
It's
yeah.
cutting me. I don't know how to get out. I'll figure it out later.
Okay,
Put
well, I'm
your
gonna,
cursor over the bottom right. There'll be a little door that says leave.
okay, I'm gonna try to get the screen back so that I can do my final words to the YouTube. So, guys, we're Theater Resources Unlimited. We're a not-for-profit arts services organization. We'd love to have you be part of our community. If you want to be part of the community and get the invitation every week. Next week, I've got Tanya Pinkins coming on. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be doing a bunch of people who just got back from Edinburgh Fringe are going to talk about their experiences there. I've got Tim Kashani coming in to talk about a series of 6 theater projects that incorporate AI, and one of them is with the Schuberts. So lots of stuff going on, lots of stuff coming up. So please email me if you want to be on the list, trunltd@aol.com. trunltd@aol.com. And if you want to support us, we have a summer donor drive going right now. So officially, you can actually give to our donor drive. Although I think I don't have that link for you. The link that I have that I can give you is TRU Donate, trudonate.com, trudonate.com. So that's it. Help us to keep going, and help us to bring more people on like Irene. Got to admit she's fun, right? She's amazing. That's why we're really, really excited to be honoring her on November 17th. That's it. Thank you, everyone.